wants to go first?
Um.
Well, let's just say like brief thoughts.
Okay.
Overall, I think this is really good. I think this is really, really good. I think that the ending is amazing. I definitely want to get into the discussion, but I just kind of want to know what y'all's thoughts are, because I feel like there is a lot to discuss with this one. It's kind of like way more dense, especially towards the end.
Yeah, I admire the ambition of it. Yeah.
Because like I think towards the end, like a lot of things. Because I like through a lot of it, especially as they like meet again, it just kind of becomes. I don't want to say like a vlog, but it kind of is like that.
Yeah, it's just.
But then the ending, and all that stuff is like really good and needed, and it's like kind of to show like, okay, like this is really. They kind of elongate it and stretch it out because that's what the characters are doing. But at the end, when it, for lack of a better term, kind of becomes a movie again, then it just kind of wraps everything up in such a beautiful way, I think. But yeah, I mean, we can get more into that later. But other people's thoughts.
Like I said, I admire the ambition of it, because like it kind of, at first, it like kind of defines this guy's life as like kind of fleeting, you know. It's just like exactly. Whatever memories he had, even with the girl, you know, who he had already met, you know, it's just like they're so short-lived, they're so like, you know, pointless. They wake up and she's mad at him because she thinks he's a creep and like all this stuff.
It's 51st dates.
And when they figure out you know, like, oh, we just need to try to stay awake, and then that portion of the movie is when it starts to get a bit better for me, in my opinion. And, like, yeah, I'd say the last 30 minutes of this, give or take, is probably my favorite part of the movie. Like, you know, not, I say part, like it's one big thing, but, you know, just, like, the last 30 minutes, you know, it's like, like, that scene at the beach is good. I like, probably, honestly, possibly my favorite scene is just the whole asking all those people who they love and stuff like that. That was such a good
inclusion.
Yeah, I think it's interesting just because, obviously, this is the idea that, it's kind of nihilistic in the sense where it's like, oh, you know, even something as simple as memories like fades and is forgotten, and
exactly.
These people and these relationships, like as you grow and like another day passes, it's like you forget things. It's just how it works.
Yeah.
But, you know, somehow, and what's interesting is like his relationship with this girl. It's not like they're doing all these crazy things, or they're like, you know, making like passionate fucking love or something like that. They're just doing things together.
Exactly.
And that is a kind of like those moments, these relationships, those like, it's human connection. It's raw human connection. It's not something it's not the thing that you do, it's that you do it together.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Like the scene where they write on the pieces of wood.
Exactly.
You know, that basically cements kind of, it's not these like grand proclamations of like, and vows of love. It's more so these like little moments, just the day to day. You know what I mean? No, for real. But
it
like,
really is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, So, and when you were talking about like how this guy's life is fleeting, I think that it's kind of a pretty clever setup to have, you know, this guy who, you know, he doesn't really know anyone around him, and he's, you know, he's not married or anything, and he's in his like what, probably early 30s or late 20s. No, it's almost as if like the monotony of life at this point in time is like so grating on, you know, the human soul and the human spirit that we're almost forced to kind of, in a way, not like forget it. Well, obviously that's the metaphor, but to kind of treat it as something like so insignificant as to be forgotten. And in this sense, they're literally waking up and not remembering anything. So I think that's really clever, and that's a pretty brilliant setup already.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, that's for sure.
And I really like the honestly, like, I know you might hate me for saying this, but the scenes where it's filmed like on the camera, it was literally like a Chris Marker movie. It was it really was. I would be shocked if the directors of this didn't like Chris Marker, because it definitely has, like, it's just kind of people living life. It's great music, interesting locations. Definitely they chose their locations and their shots well, and it's just kind of like, yeah. But I mean, I'll get more into it as we go along I mean, do you have more to say? Kind of.
I guess I don't know. To be honest, I guess I don't have really too much to say off the top of my head. I mean, I could probably think of more, but yeah, I think like for me, it's like I said, I admire the ambition, but I just don't know if I truly enjoy the execution on my part. It's just because here's the thing. It could be a couple of things involved. One is like, I could blame it on something like, like the lack of, okay, there's like shittiness quality of movies. Like you look at something like Gummo.
Or like Take Out.
Yeah, exactly. But those movies have a bit more of an atmosphere that like clicks with me. And I suppose like this has a similar quality to those movies. And it's not just the handheld, shitty, HD camera or whatever.
It's kind of the unprofessional.
Yeah, it's the unprofessionalism of it. It's the intentional unprofessionalism of it. And like, obviously the super, simplistic kind of slice of life feeling to it, like it's just, I admire that kind of filmmaking, but I don't know, it's just like, there are moments where I could not really truly care for this, except like I said, the last, 30 minutes, what like really kind of helped put this whole movie into like such an amazing perspective. Exactly. In that sense is what makes me appreciate it more. And like, I don't know, but I don't see myself like rewatching this and like, me loving it or something like that. Like, I don't really know, because it's not like, I just don't get it. What's the point of this? It wasn't that. It was just more so like, okay, I get it, but I just don't really know if I like it that much, you know?
See, yeah.
And so, I don't know. That's the thing, is like, there was another moment that I was going to talk about that I thought was interesting, but I'm kind of having trouble trying to remember. There was like a short conversation held between the guy, Koji, and then the guy who was at the laundromat talking about...
Good. That was funny.
Yeah, like even that scene is like kind of an example where it's just like, what they're saying is like, yeah, it's interesting, but I suppose it's just like, maybe it was just the timing of it. Like, it kind of felt like, I don't know, forced. I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, it's kind of, I guess, okay, let's put it this way, right? In scenes like, well, not scenes, but like movies like Gummo or George Washington, which I know you don't care that much for, but I really like George Washington a lot. I kind of want to rewatch it because I don't know if it's still great in my opinion, but anyways, or even something like Takeout. It's like the conversations that lead up to moments like that are interesting because like it's very real, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's this build up and it makes sense and it's timed well, and I'm able to enjoy the writing even more because it just feels real, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like that, it cuts to them. And they're just like talking, and he's like kind of just saying these things to this guy, and he leaves, and they're true, and they are definitely, they add to like the density of the film and like what it's portraying. But like, just that scene, it was kind of like, okay, it just kind of happened. You know, I feel
like that scene in particular was like not supposed to be this like dramatic thing. It was more so just like funny and satirical. That's how I guess, because they're in a laundromat. He calls him a bum ass. It's just like random and you know what I mean? Like it's just random and silly and like deep and clever and playful. Yeah, that's how I saw it more so. But I was gonna say, you say that, but I think this might be like my favorite movie ever shot on a shitty camera, maybe.
That's crazy.
I really like this one. I think the ending is really kind of what, it's like, I mean, solidify it, because it's just like, because at the end, like, you don't know, because, you don't know whether he remembered or not.
I'm honestly more confused on her, really. Like,
or if she did or she didn't remember. Like, because it seems like she didn't remember, right?
Yeah, but...
So the ending to me, it kind of, like, represents, like, okay, whether he remembered or not. I mean, at the end, of course, when he's shaving his beard, it suggests that he remembered.
Yeah.
But, so, to me, I kind of, like, looking at it more broadly, more big picture, I kind of saw it as, like, okay, at the end of the day... And also, another thing to note is that, I mean, if we're going to talk about kind of the relationship between them, it's kind of more so just kind of, in my opinion, like displaying that kind of relationship is, you know, it just kind of happens and then you're stuck with this person, you know what I mean? And it's like at the end of the day, it does have these moments of beauty that are sweet, but it also kind of is, I don't want to say forced, but you know what I mean? Like, people got to get married, people don't want to be alone, and that's how these people are. Like, in the beginning of the movie, the character Koji, like, he's just kind of, he's just completely lost in the world. No, okay, I didn't even mean to say that, but you know what I mean? He's completely lost, like, he's banging hookers, he's trying to, you know, getting drunk at bars and stuff like that. And then he meets this girl and it kind of gives him purpose, you know what I mean?
It's an Ikaru moment.
Yeah, exactly.
It is.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Obviously it's different, but you know what I mean.
And then so you know, he's kind of stuck with this girl for, you know, it doesn't tell you how long, a number of days probably. And then, you know, she wakes up, and then the ending scene with the baseball, it's, you know, through all the turbulence of life, you know, even though life is gonna knock you down, life isn't gonna make sense, you know, you could still kind of have some, you know, if you're with someone long enough, you could still kind of have that leverage to teach them stuff, to kind of have a positive influence on them, and that's why he's teaching her baseball. You know what I mean? And then at the end, when he throws the ball at her head, it could just be like, it's so like, it's so subtle, you know what I mean? But it's basically like, to me, it could just be like, oh, you know, he's just like annoyed with her that he doesn't, you know what I mean? It's kind of like what these relationships are, you know, they have ups and downs and stuff like that.
And also it's a thing where it doesn't really truly answer like this question of like, oh, is love something as eternal? Because like, you know, we mentioned how like, okay, we don't really truly know if she remembers, and like it's obviously implied that he remembers.
It's maybe
obviously that end credit scene, I don't take that as like an answer to anything. Like I see this as like definitely an open-ended thing where it's
like just kind of there.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's like she doesn't remember, but he does, but it's never said, you know. And
exactly.
It could be taken either way.
And shit, even it's like maybe this is a big stretch. Let me ask you something. Is the guy who plays Koji, is that the guy who made the film?
I don't know.
I'm just curious because here's what I was thinking. I thought it was because I thought I looked at like I can't use my phone, but hold on, look it up real quick because if so, then this will prove this Scherzo.
Okay, yeah, no,
Scherzo, yeah. Just look it up because if it is the case, then my thought that I have in my head will add up. Do you have any thoughts, Mackenzie, about while he's looking into it?
Yeah, I really like this. I mean, a lot of it reminds me of
Mirrored Mind.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it was like Mirrored Mind. Exactly. I'd say I like this movie a good amount more. I like that movie too a lot.
I was gonna say it's like that, like mixed with like the style of Love and Pop. Just like the camera.
Yeah, Love and Pop.
I think Love and Pop does that way better.
No, it does way more with that, I would say.
But that's how I was gonna say.
I like this movie more than both of those. Mm-hmm. I really like this one. I think it reminded me of Love and Pop sometimes. It reminded me of Mirrored Mind, Chris Marker. I'm trying to think what else. That's pretty much it. It's not the most like original movie stylistically, but it definitely has its own voice. Like the shots at the beach are so nice, and then like the scene after that when they're like both about to fall asleep, like the background, it's awesome. It's so dramatic.
There was moments where like I enjoyed just like the composition of some of these shots. Like it was just like. It just looked good, you know what I mean? And, like, honestly, that last scene where they're trying not to fall asleep, like, the sky was fucking beautiful.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if you noticed that.
That's
a lot of pretty skies in this.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's there's definitely some goodness to this. And I think, like, so did you find out if...
Oh, yeah, no, he is the director.
So the guy who played the main character is the director. That's cool. Then that kind of confirms my thought. Because here's what my thought was, right? In the film, it already breaks the fourth wall. Sounds nerdy, but you know, it's just this. He films the the people who are in this movie, and also just random human beings, right? And, so the film already breaks that rule, right? Of like, oh, okay, it goes beyond the movie itself. It becomes a bit more meta or whatever, right? And then so that scene where he's like shaving his beard, maybe that's not the character anymore. Maybe that's the director himself. Well, because that. I just feel like it would be kind of odd for, like, that to be the choice where it's just like, oh, he remembers but she doesn't. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe if that is the case, then that's the case.
Well, it could be taken either way. The thing is, he like said in the movie, if I remember, I'll shave my beard.
Exactly.
So it's like, I don't know. It could be, I mean, there's another layer to it even, you know what I mean? Like, this movie has a lot of that, where it's like a lot of...
open-ended things.
Yeah, and a lot of... how do you call it, like, kind of meta levels, I guess.
Yeah, to a degree, definitely.
I would say...
Yeah, it's interesting. There's definitely some things that are interesting, but I just got to be honest, it just didn't really have me. And like there are moments that I thought, okay, that was good. That was good. I liked that. Other moments where I was like just like and sometimes like I said, sometimes I was bored. I knew what it was doing and like I admired it. It was just like for that aspect, but it just did not have a hold on me. And I was giving it a chance, obviously. I was like, okay, just let it happen. And it happened, and by the time it was over, I was like, okay. Like, it's definitely not, like, bad. But, I'm debating on if it's good, like, something that I, like, really actually like. I admire it, but I don't know if I admire it enough to really say, like, this is a good movie. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that sounds bad, but you know what I mean by that.
Yeah, no, you just don't know if, like, personally you click with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, okay, I will totally give my hats off to the guy who made it, because looking at it, it's like he's made 2 films.
Yeah, and those are like 10 minutes long or something.
Exactly.
I don't know how long.
Yeah.
But this is definitely like a very original, well thought out movie.
Yeah, it's inspiring in that sense. That's what I'm looking for.
I was also gonna say, like, this is like kind of feels like a kind of movie that I would want to make, just because like the music choices, the kind of just like shooting life, kind of having it be as is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what I'm talking about. Like, it feels like kind of like a vlog.
No, yeah, that's exactly something like I would want to make too. Especially these, honestly, I feel like for me, I want to keep talking about the movie, but something that I kind of want to share my mind on is like, I feel like for me, when I try to imagine like making something, like I've had a lot of thoughts come to my mind before of like ideas of things that I would want to do. I go to these places, I think of cool like things that I could do in these areas. But the hardest thing is like writing like characters, you know what I mean? And like making it feel just like real, making it work, making whether it's 2 characters or just 1 or several, it doesn't matter. But like something like this, it's a short movie. Like I said, it's like very low budget. And I think, and it's not even just like, oh, it's purposefully shitty. I think it's also, hey, I made this movie, I had to make this movie this way because I have no money, you know what I mean? And I admire that. And I think like, okay, the director, the guy who made this, I don't know his name, but he like, was able to write this interesting relationship and like able to create these ideas and explore these feelings without really writing too much. Because I would say the film is really quiet, like when it gets to just them hanging out.
And I was going to say, like, it's really, for 1, intimate, and for 2, kind of barren. Like, there's, like, in the beginning, it kind of feels like a normal movie. Like, when he goes to the bar, it's like, okay, so this is, like...
Yeah.
But, like, the whole movie, I mean, like, even on Letterboxd, there's only 2 actors credited in the movie.
Literally, yeah.
Like, that's pretty awesome.
No, it is. It's definitely interesting. Yeah, Yeah, so I guess my last thoughts, maybe, unless you guys have something that I could play off of, all I have to say is, like, yeah, I think this just doesn't truly work for me in the sense of, like, the film itself, like, just, like, how great it is. Like, I just don't know if it's really something that I would hold near and dear to my heart, or, so I'm just gonna say I admire it, and it's definitely it's kind of inspiring in some ways, but I don't necessarily like it that much. But I see how you like it, and that's good. And same as you, Mackenzie. But yeah,
that's Mackenzie right there.
That's after he kills us.
Other thoughts, Mackenzie? Did you see yourself in this?
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. I'm kind of, I kind of feel bad that I don't click with this, because it really is, there's admirable things, and I really, like I said, the ambition of it is broad, and like going for something like that is hard, and I feel like for what this is, it does, like a decent job, but just not enough to where I really enjoy it. So, anyways, that's all I have to say. Mackenzie, do you have anything else to say?
Yeah, I think the style of this is amazing. I think, for me at least, like pretty much like any movie that has like a handheld type camera like this, like that's perfect.
I was gonna say, usually a lot of the time I think those, I don't want to say they're like overrated, but they're like, those movies are good, but like a lot of the handheld ones. But I feel like it's like just kind of there a lot of the time. Like I don't see the big hype with all that. Like I mean, like I like dog movies and all that, but like you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah.
I definitely.
I think for me, it's kind of how I explained earlier. Like sometimes it really works, but in this case, it just doesn't really that.
Yeah,
well
no, that's
for
crazy
me.
because I like I said, this is probably like my favorite movie ever that has that shot like that. But go on. Go on.
And I think that last part where they were asking all those people is really great, and just the vlog part, which I mean,
there's a lot of them.
Yeah,
It's
honestly,
probably
that's
more than half.
I was gonna say just the middle, but that's probably more so like half of the movie. That part that's really great. It's just like watching that, like, what's the word?
Progress.
No, like as I was watching that, like it made me feel like
Horny. Sorry.
no,
Sorry.
no, but no, horny.
Glued to the screen.
No, not glued to the screen. Like it made me feel like shoot, I don't know. I forgot what I was gonna say.
Could you try to explain it?
Hold on, it's gonna come back to me, but I'm gonna talk about something else.
Run it back.
I guess it's just super. It was just super. Them interacting with each other to me felt super like sincere and intimate, and then but at the same time, it's also just like kind of tragic because you know that it's
fleeting.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly.
that's another thing. What I was gonna say is that like another meta level of this is that like all those scenes after they kind of meet and they go on their little like adventure and they stay awake, it's filmed on the camera.
Exactly.
And the camera is gonna die, and then it does.
Well,
you know
see,
what I mean?
honestly, another scene
that's pretty brilliant.
was the domino with the tapes.
Yeah.
That was good because that kind of puts into perspective. Like, look at how much he's been keeping on this little cassette tape. You know, like that thing could get lost. That thing, like all these ideas. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's interesting.
It's awesome.
But Mackenzie, like you said, it is sad. Like honestly, it's being a bit more literal now. Like the idea of like this guy. The only way he can remember anything is by looking at these videos that he took, and they're not even like, you know, it's just they're just walking around, you know, like he can't even get much out of it. He just unplugs it because it's just like, what's the fucking point, you know, like what am I doing? Yeah, it's sad. No, it really is. It's
but during those scenes, for me, it was like so tense because it's like, damn, this camera's gonna die. These people are gonna fall asleep.
I mean, shit. It literally said end of tape.
Exactly,
like
and that's when I knew.
That was it.
Yeah, and then I mean that scene on the beach was fantastic. That might be one of my favorite scenes. It's one of my favorite scenes of the movie. But after that, that's when the movie really, for me, like everything came into perspective, and I just it was great.
Yeah.
But go on.
See, so much great, a lot of great locations in this. I mean, we all said the scene at the beach. That's really good. Also, one that was really great was it was like kind of brief, but like, do you remember when it was like when he picks her up and carries her, and they're in like the green field and stuff. That part was really
green
great.
what?
Well,
field.
she's playing a baseball game. She's like, and he's like, hey, you talk to you.
With the animals in the background.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that was interesting.
I really like that.
Okay. Any more thoughts, you guys? Or
Yeah, no, this is a really solid movie for like a first-time director. Yeah.
All right.
If I went to cons, I would be like, put this movie in, because I don't think it was there.
Can you please remind me how you pronounce the name of this movie? I don't know why I'm forgetting. I'm embarrassed.
Scherzo?
Scherzo?
Yeah.
Okay. Thus concludes Scherzo.